What is going on, everybody? Jumbo Thick here, back with more Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, our Rise of the Forsaken campaign. I am joined once again by my faithful companions, Mr. Jumbo Smooth and Mr. Doobie209. I, of course, am Jumbo Thick, your DM for tonight. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce your characters, you probably don't need the description at this point if they've made it this far into the videos. So just go ahead and introduce yourself briefly.
Hello, everyone. I am Jumbo Smooth. I'll be playing the role of Marius Wolf. Excited to see what's going on in this beach full of dead dark elves.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Doobie209 reprising the role of Seamus, who is on his deathbed maybe on this beach.
That's possible. It's very possible. We'll see how this goes. All right, so let's just get into it, boys. Let's get into it. I'm ready. I'm ready to kill. I mean, I'm ready to see how well you guys do the rest of the session here. So last we left off, our heroes, after foiling a beastmen incursion, were given a job at the request of the mining foreman, Mr. Brandyfoot, to explore higher up in the mountains to try to find an alternate entrance into the mines to bypass some of the problems they've been having. Our band, we don't have a name for you guys yet. We really need to come up with one. Marius and Seamus both found a hidden entrance thanks to Seamus, who had a bit of a flashback in doing so. And not only did they find an entrance, but they also found a very hidden, strange alien room. Whence they decided to explore thoroughly, entering in what I believe Marius referred to it as the Hell Tunnel. Death and poison and plague left in their wake. Through a rather harrowing experience, they made it clear of the tunnel. There were a few close calls. Seamus was riddled with exhaustion in his treks through the tunnel, which severely hampered him once they arrived in their new location of a very strange and alien land to our adventurers. I'm not going to... Well, I mean, shit. No, I'm not going to tell you guys where it is. You guys probably know where it is, but regardless... you found the men wearing the strange kind of wooden armor that you had noticed earlier in this adventure. This appears to be the place of their origin, as far as you can tell. You also stumbled upon a tree next to the entrance of where you guys, next to the exit of the tunnel that you guys came from, that had several bodies of men of the Empire hanging by their necks, and an empty slot where one may deduce Mr. Seamus McCready may have broken free of his captors and not hung until his death. You then decided to explore your surroundings, not sure where to go or what to do or exactly where you are even. Marius had spotted some ships on a nearby beach. It took you about a day to travel after a very restless night. Let's call it, for Seamus. You then, once receiving once actually finding the beach later in the afternoon, due through some bad rolls and some very bad luck, were ambushed by a troop of elves that you managed to figure out. They were at least elves, wearing very dark armor. Wink, wink, hint, hint. And you were ambushed completely. You took severe damage, but through the actions of Elf Slayer Marius, who just bulldozed his way through several of the dark elves, and Seamus managed to somewhat fend off his attacker. However, before it happened, before we finally picked up, right at the end there, Seamus was brought low, not dropped to the ground, but severely wounded And I misspoke. You do not have a broken jaw. You have a fractured jaw, as you were dealt a vicious blow by the female elf without the helmet on. So we'll discuss what that's doing for you at the moment. And before she could finish you off, however, Marius laid her low herself, and she is currently dying at your guys' feet. So you are still on the beach. You are fairly covered in blood and gore, Marius. Actually, probably Seamus is as well this time around, which is a rare thing. You also, Marius, still have 2 bolts sticking out of your body. One in your chest,
Yes.
one in your back. So we have that to deal with as well. But I think that's about it. That's about where we left off, unless you guys can think of anything more pertinent that I might have missed.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Well, in that case, we are still technically in combat initiative until you guys say otherwise. So, Marius, you just plunged your pick through this elven woman's right arm through the elbow, and she just went slack and kind of slipped off your pick at your feet. Dying words on her breath, maybe. You don't know yet. She seems to be barely holding on at the moment, but as you look over, you can definitely see that Seamus is not doing well at all. He has a fractured jaw. You can tell just from the swelling and where he was hit, and the fact that there's tears in his eyes and blood streaming from a wound on the right side of his face. But he's not looking good at all. He's looking very, very hurt. What would you like to do?
Do I see anyone else? Are we alone besides
Okay.
just Seamus and I and the
Go ahead
dying elves?
and make me a perception check.
All right. Ooh, that is a 20 out of 30.
Okay, so 1 success level. Okay, so here is what you see with 1 success level. You start glancing around, seeing that Seamus is still... He's not dead yet. He's probably on death's door. But you start glancing around in your nervousness, expecting maybe another attack, another bolt to come sailing out of nowhere. And you don't hear anything at first. And then you hear some rustling behind you. You spin around, and you notice that there's a trail in the sand about 30, 40 feet from you.
Okay.
Where the previous elf you had wounded has apparently stood back up and is slipping away into the brush of the forest. You see a cloak flutter in the wind as he's darting into the forest.
Is he moving at full speed? Like, is he injured?
He's clutching his gut where you definitely did significant damage. But he does appear to be standing and moving.
Okay. I looked at Seamus real quick and Seamus, my friend, finish this one off, would you? And I point towards the female, and then I bolt after the one that's going into the trail as quick as I can.
Okay. It's he's just barely out of reach for you, but you start closing the distance immediately. That would be the end of your turn, unless there's something else you'd like to do with like a free action.
Yeah, that would be the end of my turn.
Okay. All right. So Seamus, it is now your turn. You are in a heap. This dying female is just laying there, eyes glazing over, looking up at you, kind of muttering under her breath a little bit. You're almost, you're just maybe a few feet from her because you haven't even been able to stand up off your knees. Your jaw is definitely damaged. You are actually under the stun condition for the next 2 turns, so you can, through the pain, you cannot move. You might be able to talk with a check, but right now you are in severe pain and pretty much are immobilized.
Can I reach this lady, though? The dying
You cannot actually attack her in your state. You can possibly defend yourself, but in your condition that you have right now, you cannot make an attack. You have 2 of these conditions currently. Stunned conditions.
And I can't move.
You can't take an action. You can move at half your speed. You can defend yourself. And that's about it as far as your stuff is concerned.
Then if I need to, I'll move closer to her and then just defend myself if I'm going to need to.
Okay, she's laying at your feet, so you don't even have to move. But you're very disoriented and just through the pain, kind of looking around. You can make at the end of your turn. You can make a endurance test for me at -20 because of your fatigued state to remove one of the conditions.
Okay. Then I will do that because that's pretty much going to be my turn.
Okay.
Let's see, -20. First one's a failure. That's a 78.
Okay, so that doesn't work. Now, I will say this. You can use a resolve point to remove one condition each round if you like. But do keep in mind that your resolve points can also be used to temporarily remove your disadvantages for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the stunned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you still have 2 stunned conditions until we start getting out of combat. So you're still just kind of sitting there, just clutching yourself, kind of eyes looking around. Then that will bring us to the corsair's turn. The corsair, seeing you lumbering back in his direction, Marius, he's bolting into the thick brush that you kind of came out of. He turns around and just kind of looks at you. Well, looks over his shoulder at you, and by King! And he starts moving at even a quicker pace than he was before. He thought he was sneaking away from you, but you saw through that. And he starts moving deeper into the forest. He is going to make a check. That is a critical success. So, Marius, you see him start running through the brush, and he appears to be almost dancing around these trees. His movement is elegant, but it's elegant to you as a person, but there's also something violent about it as he's kind of crashing through some of the limbs that he could be kind of dancing around. You see he has the ability to, he just doesn't. And he starts pushing his way through this thick brush at what appears to be his maximum speed, which he is pulled away even further away from you. And when he gets as far away as he can be, which at this point is 60 feet from you, through the woods, he's going to look over his shoulder, get an idea of where you're coming, plant his feet, and he's going to attempt to shoot you. With the repeater crossbow, he still managed to clamber onto that you did not see laying on the beach. So he still had it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to give you cover for this. So let's see here. What is your normal? No. Well, it'll just be -20 to his roll. That still hits. Okay, let's see where this hits at. All right, you're still getting shot now. Okay, 14. Ooh, so this one takes you in your right arm. as it digs in to the... well, actually, it hits your pauldron. So you can subtract the damage. So it actually cracks kind of into the pauldron itself. So you can subtract the damage from that. But it hits you for 10 points of damage.
Okay.
So you can subtract your armor and your toughness bonus from that. So as it kind of digs in, it actually punches through the pauldron and actually digs into the flesh underneath. But you take it and it kind of wheels you back a little bit, and he gives you a little smirk, and then gives you tips his head and kind of gives you a little wave with his hand, and then begins to turn around to make a move again. It is your turn, Marius.
I'm gonna follow him.
Okay,
I'm gonna run my 40.
He is 60 feet in front of you. The terrain is difficult. It's thick. Yeah, I will need you to make me an athletics check to move your full 40.
Okay. That's a 4 out of... what is that? 26.
Okay, all right. So your athletics is so low, but you still manage. Yeah, you still manage to just through sheer determination. You're like a bull in a china shop, just crunching through these limbs. A few of the smaller trees, you just with your strength and your body just push through. And his eyes go a little wide as you're closing distance, though he thinks that you might not be able to catch him. So is that going to be the end of your turn, or would you like to attempt to do anything? At this point, you're 20 feet from him. You are getting further and further away from Seamus.
I will take out my... Can I take out my dagger and throw it at him?
Okay, which dagger are you using? Because I believe you have 2.
Technically, I have 3.
Oh, you have 3?
Well,
okay.
if you consider the broken auto sword.
I would consider it a dagger. So which one are you going to throw?
Okay. I'm going to be throwing my regular dagger, my plain old dagger.
Okay, give me a ballistic skill test, and through the heavy wood, it's going to be at -20.
Okay. That is -20, you said? Mm-hmm. Oh, damn. That's going to be a 19 out of... would be 13.
Oh, so barely a miss?
Yeah.
Do you want to spend a fortune point to make it a hit?
You know what? Yes, I do. I do
okay.
want to spend a fortune point.
So you do that, and let's see what I can do here. Okay. So you spend your fortune point. You adjust your aim slightly. You're not usually one for throwing things and whatnot. That's usually Seamus's forte. But you actually throw this dagger, and it hones in, and you see it coming straight for his... You said a 14? Is that what you rolled? 19. 19? 19? So 91. Mm-hmm. Okay, it looks like it's going towards his leg. But you see him reach back, grab his cloak, and pull it around the front of his body, and the arrow just plinks off. The dagger plinks off the cloak, almost like it was a piece of armor or something. It just skids off the scales, and he gives you a... Is that the end of your turn?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right. Seamus, it is your turn. Let me make a roll. Okay, the elven woman in front of you is still holding on. She's starting to get more and more pale. You can see the blood starting to drain out of her body. What would you like to do?
I still have a stun effect, correct?
You have 2 stunned effects still.
Alright. I can't do much, so I will end the turn and try to shake off that stun effect.
Okay, make me that -20 endurance test.
Oh, this one's better. I got a 14 on this one.
Okay. How much of a pass is that for you?
A minus 20 would be a 32.
Okay, so that's one.
About one.
Okay.
One level.
So you shrug off one condition. You're starting to gain your senses back. You still have one stunned condition, but you shrug that off, and I'm assuming you just ended your turn, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you're still standing there on the beach. Go ahead and make me a perception check, Seamus. At minus 20
right.
for your conditions.
That's an 11.
Oh, critical success. All right. So you get a brief moment of clarity. You feel like you might have shaken off the worst of it. You still feel a little woozy, and your jaw is throbbing horribly. You can hear rustling where you saw Marius bolt through the woods. You hear the plink of metal on what appears to sounds like metal, honestly, and you hear some chuckling and some laughter coming from the woods in that direction. But you look around behind you, and you see some more rustling farther back. It's about 40, 50 feet in the opposite direction. You're not sure what it is, but it kind of catches your eye, and it's a little unnerving. You're very exposed on the beach right now. And that's it. That's all you can do. Now it is the elves' turn. Once again, let's make that test. Oh, yeah, he's a very agile and athletic individual, apparently, even in his very much weakened state. With a bit of arrogant swag this time around, he nimbly ducks under a low-hanging branch and dodges around a couple of gaps in the forest floor where there's like some kind of ruts where possibly rainwater and things accumulate. And he's made it to the to almost like it appears to be a path up ahead that you can see. There's a break in the trees, and he gets to the edge, which is going to be 30 feet from you, or excuse me, an additional 30 feet. So that's at 50 feet from you. Marius turns around, and he's going to attempt to take another shot with a smile on his face. This time, however, his aim is off, and it strikes the tree next to you. It just, pong! He's like, and he kind of crunches his teeth together, and then he moves the rest of his movement into the brush across from the through the break in the woods from you, and you have lost sight of him. Though you can pursue, it is your turn.
I won't pursue. I will, however, shout out. We'll meet again, friend. Sigmar, help me. We will meet again. We will meet again. And I break the arrow bolt that hit the tree.
Yes, do you want to actually break the bolt or just break it out of the tree?
Just the bolt. I'm just breaking I'm assuming it's like punctured into the tree. So
yes, it has.
I just slap down on the bolt. And snap it
it snaps
in
down.
Frustration.
Yeah, with your strength, it's easy enough. Though I will say it is. You know what? Make me a strength check, Marius, just to see. See.
Okay. That is a 36 out of 55.
Okay, yeah. With 2 success levels, definitely. One. You still probably. Okay. You're Marius Wolf. So you do notice that these bolts are, especially after you're like, even in your pissed off condition, you smack into it, and you can feel it's a little more durable than the bolts that you've seen Seamus use. There's something about its make, even though it appears to be smaller and thinner. But you smack into it, it's with your prodigious strength. You snap it in half, and it clatters at your feet on the forest floor. And I'm assuming you begin making your way back towards Seamus.
Yeah, I'll probably run back as quick as I could.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
At this point, Seamus, it is your turn. This could be the end of combat, depending on what happens. What would you like to do?
Try to shake off this last
Okay,
stun effect I have.
Go ahead and make me that endurance test. Minus 20.
78.
Okay, so no, you're still out of sorts. And at this point, you even in your condition, you look down, Seamus, and the woman's mumbling, and all using your critical success from the previous round. You hear her, "Ithril, take me," and she her face turns towards you, and just buries itself in the sand at your feet, and you just can sense that the life drains from her eyes, and she is dead.
Nice.
Yes. So, Marius, you make it back. You make it through the clearing. It was easy enough to retrace your steps with the path that you bulldozed through the brush. So you make it back out to the beach with the nice white sands, the ever expanse of the ocean before you. It is later in the day at this point. It is like getting pretty late in the afternoon. The sun is possibly starting to set, which it sets over the ocean. I will note that. So it's setting away from you guys.
Okay.
So what would you like to do once you appear on the beach?
I'll try to go help Seamus up.
Okay.
Run over Seamus, try to get him on his feet.
All right. At this point, Seamus, since we're out of combat, you shake off the last of your stun conditions. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. So you're up. You are woozy because of the lack of blood in your body from the amount of damage you've taken over the past day. But you are still, just through your sheer grit, you are standing, and Marius kind of helps you to your feet. And what would you guys like to do at this point?
Can I just kind of look over Seamus and see what kind of shape he's in?
Okay. So give me a intuition test.
Okay. Ooh, that's not very good. That's going to be 62.
Okay.
24.
He looks hurt. I mean, that much is obvious. He looks hurt, and he was exhausted from the day before. But I mean, he's standing. Surely he's all right.
Okay. Seamus, good job with this thing. Way to finish her off. And I'm just dusting him off a little bit,
Yeah, dust some of the sand off of him. Got it.
Yeah.
You still have 3 bolts sticking out of you, just so you know.
I know.
Yeah, they're starting to. You can feel some of the warm blood, especially under the one in the pauldron, and the wound in your. Well, I'm actually all of them. You can feel fresh blood starting to kind of weep out of the wounds underneath. It's warm.
Okay.
And now that your adrenaline is starting to die down, you're starting to feel that. Holy shit! I'm in severe pain.
I'll wait to see if Seamus says anything.
So what are the effects on speaking with my fractured jaw?
Okay, so let's go over this. Since you have a fractured jaw, I need you to roll me a d10.
Okay. That is a 0 or a 10.
So that's a 10. So you will have a fractured jaw for the next 40 days.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Oh my god.
40 days is luckily with a fractured jaw, the bone is in place. It's just possibly like you have a pretty severe dislocation. It can heal on its own without the aid of surgery or anything of the such. But at the moment, you are at minus 30 to speaking tests. So charm, intimidate with words, things of that sort. We'll kind of go over that when they come up. So for the next 40 days, you're at minus 30 to those kinds of tests. You also can only eat a liquid diet for the next 40 days. So this is going to be interesting on how you are going to keep yourself fed. But that's the only negatives currently.
Mm.
And you can speak. We're not going to like roll. It's not like your jaw's like falling off or anything like that. So you can talk. It's just probably hurts a lot every time you speak.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try to speak like Marius. Oh. I don't feel good.
Oh, Marius kind of looks and kind of pulls his head back and says, "You don't sound good either."
It hurts to speak.
It hurts to hear. And
Yes.
I want to. We gotta get out of here. Heal up. We're not doing very well, friend. Let's look over these bodies real quick. Gather any kind of information or items we can, and try to find shelter somewhere.
Okay.
I think there's 3 more. I think there's a DM question. Is there 3 more of the ships? I see 4 ships.
So if you glance further down the beach, you see 4 ships total, including the one that you clambered up to kill the elf, which you see an arm dangling down over the side. He's obviously dead. You see him on the overturned ship with the mast and the top of like the deck of the ship pointing in your direction. But you do see further down the beach. You're not sure how far down each is. The distance is kind of deceptive on the beach, but not too far away. Within maybe a few hours, you could get to the last ship. But they are all of them are in a state of wreckage, essentially, in various different positions. They don't look like a single one was landed properly. But you do see 4 total ships.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to quickly look over the bodies and the ship.
Okay.
See if I can see anything of value.
Who's taking which? Like, Seamus, are you going to help doing this, or are you guys kind of sticking together?
Judging by my condition, I'm probably going to want to stick together.
Okay. So you have a elf in the woods somewhere where Seamus killed one. Seamus would be able to tell you that. You have the one laying at your feet, and then you have the one that you're going to have to climb up to on top of the ship.
Okay, we'll start with the one on our feet.
Okay. Go ahead and just make me a perception check.
Okay. That's a 15 out of 30.
Okay, so man, a decent success from Marius. I'll go ahead and give you a plus 10 for Seamus helping you. Okay. So it'll be a 15 out of 40. So that gives you 15, 25, 35. So 2 levels of success. All right. So with 2 levels of success, the corpse at your feet, you can see that her armor is severely damaged from what you did to her. It didn't look like it was in a good state of repair even before. I will say this just because I kind of have an idea that you two are just going to start stripping bodies and wearing armor. It doesn't. The elves are very tall. This woman is probably about Seamus's height. though extremely petite and thin. The kind of thick armor kind of masks it, but when you go to start searching around her, you notice that she's very light. She might only be 100 pounds, if even that, maybe less than that, for as tall as she is. You do find the two swords are obvious, that Seamus can attest to. They kind of have some strange barbing. It appears to be, it doesn't appear that it has a purpose other than just aesthetics. There is some strange barbing carved into the actual blade itself. It doesn't look like anything special. It just looks like a sword of some kind, though a very strange-looking sword at that. You don't pull off any usable armor. It's all severely damaged, especially after you destroyed her. You do, however, find... I need you to roll me a d4.
All right. That's a 1.
Okay, so you find a pouch located on her hip. You pull it off, and you kind of rattle it. You hear something. You feel something inside. You open it, and Seamus, with your profession, your experiences in life, Marius reaches his hand in and pulls out a silver coin, a single silver coin. Seamus, you notice from the picture on it that this is called a silver denier. It is Bretonian currency. So there's a silver coin that you both possess now, and they are traded in the Empire, and they're worth just as much as a silver coin of your own.
Oh, silver piece?
You got a silver piece.
Yeah.
You also find this one's also obvious. Laying next to her is, you pick it up, and it is a crossbow. Though it looks very strange, Seamus, you're more experienced with crossbows. Go ahead and give me a perception test, and I'll let you add in your crossbow it's like skill in addition to it.
Okay.
At -20. Because of your condition.
I rolled a 41.
Okay, what does that put you at?
At -20 for perception would be a 31.
Okay, and then how much do you have in crossbow?
My crossbow, I have 10 advances.
You just make it. So you take it, and you're like, first off, you feel I'm assuming Marius, you hand it to him.
Yeah, I hand it to him.
Okay, yeah. And Seamus, you take it, and it's light. It's about half the weight of the crossbow you now have slung across your back. And you can tell it's very solidly built, despite the weight. And it's a little bit smaller than your crossbow, though from what you can attest from the battle, apparently it doesn't lack any of the range of your crossbow. It is still just as strong. You notice there's a interesting mechanism on the bottom of the crossbow. Or actually, it's on this side. It's on the right side of it. It appears that there's some kind of small hole, and there's some kind of strange, it looks like mechanism. You're not quite sure what it does, but you kind of mess around with it, and if you decide to mess with it more tonight, perhaps during your rest or in your spare time, you might be able to figure out a little bit more. But you do notice the kind of bizarre hole. And on top of this, Marius, go ahead and roll me a d10, please.
Okay. That's 10.
Okay, wow. Okay, so you also recover from a additional, like a much larger pouch that she's kind of laying on top of. You kind of dig it around her and pull it out. You recover 10 crossbow bolts, but Seamus, you notice with your test that they're smaller and thinner than your own crossbow, so they will not work for your crossbow. They appear to be tailored for this specific device. You're not quite sure why they're so small and everything like that, but it's not like a ridiculous amount. It's like, to the untrained eye, they might look similar, but if you attempted to put this in your crossbow, you know it wouldn't work. So you have 1d10 special bolts, if whatever you want to call it, in addition to the new crossbow you have. Also, Marius, you find, of course, what very much strikes your eye is the cloak that she's wearing. It is a almost reptilian skin, is what it kind of looks like, the outside of it. It is a very deep blue, like sea blue, deep ocean blue. And it's made out of obvious scales. And it drapes down to about her waist. And it does not look like it has a head covering. It just goes about the shoulders and down, almost like a cape. But it does look like a very fancy and very sturdy cloak.
All right, I will definitely take that and try to put it on.
Oh, of course you do.
Sling it over?
Yeah. Of course you try to put it on. So, Marius, how tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
Yes, okay.
Average height.
So, yeah, of course, average. Yeah, that's what we'll say. That's what we'll tell everyone, your average height. When you put this on, it drapes down to almost your knee. It's a little bit lower. It's not like touching the ground. It does look. It looks a little long for him, Seamus. But you do manage to get it wrapped around your shoulders and clasped. And I will say it is a little bit tight around the shoulders because you're a very beefy man compared to this slim elven woman. But you get it to clasp, and after seeing what just happened in the woods, Marius, you know that this cloak is much sturdier than it looks.
Okay.
And you, after seeing it, you're not going to have to roll for this or anything. You get the idea that if you see a ranged attack coming in your direction, you will be given the attempt to deflect it away from you. If you can see it, and it will depend on the type of attack. You're not sure how this would hold up against, let's say, a black powder weapon. You don't know, but it at least can deflect essentially an arrow or at least a dagger, is what you saw. Probably a crossbow bolt, but further testing would be required to see the extent of its abilities.
All right. Seamus, these cloaks, we gotta get you one too. That tall fucker that ran off in the woods, I threw a dagger at him and used it to block.
Which you never retrieved your dagger. It's somewhere out in the woods.
I know. I know.
So, yeah.
And the last step, I'm gonna pull out Otto's broken sword.
Yes.
And I am going to cut off this elf's ear.
That's disturbing. Okay.
You cut off my ear bag.
Yeah, that's really gross. Got it. You cut off the elven woman's ear, which I will just put this in perspective for the people that don't understand. They look like normal, like almost like people, except for their kind of elongated features. So this is a very disturbing act, Seamus. Even more disturbing than it might sound, as he's cutting the ears off of a humanoid individual. Granted, a vicious one, but still humanoid.
This bitch just broke his jaw.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, put him in the ear bag.
That's gross. Got
Good
it.
money. Some good money here, Seamus. Let's go look over these others real quick.
Okay, so which one do you want to go to?
Probably for time's sake, because I'm probably a little worried about other people coming. Towards the woods, back towards the woods, I guess. There's nothing but ocean behind us, I guess, and then
yeah, it's
down
just
the coast,
endless
just more
ocean.
ships.
Yeah, down the coast you see those ships. On the opposite side of the coast, where Seamus might have saw some motion if he's let you know about it. It eventually runs into the mountain range that you think that might have been where you kind of came out of. But it kind of runs into to the end of a mountain range, so the beach ends a few miles that way. You do see further down the coast, past the ships, there appears to be another kind of rocky outcropping, but you can see just barely just a little puff of smoke where you think that you saw those possible fires off in the distance, which is very odd that they would still be burning a full day. So that gives you the idea that there's probably either a camp or some kind of intelligent creatures that have set up in that direction.
Okay.
So let me get this straight. You do not want to go to the elf that is by the ship.
I'm just worried it's going to take too much time, I think.
It's up to you.
So, yeah, I think unless Seamus is walking towards there, I'm probably going to walk towards the elf that he killed in the woods.
Okay. Seamus, is that where you're going?
That is where Seamus is going.
Okay. So you walk back to the other figure that was laying in the woods. Seamus, you kind of lead him to the body that you left unceremoniously just through the tree line. Still, his head's tilted forward. He's kind of slumped on the ground where you pried yourself out from underneath him. You can remember the vicious battle of clinking armor against blade that resulted in nothing for several turns. But you did kill him eventually. You look him over. You don't find anything special. His armor is also badly damaged. You do, however, find that he has an additional silver piece on him. Whoever wants to take it. He also has 1 silver denier. It's also the Bretonian currency. He also has those 2.
Flip it towards Seamus.
Okay. You find the 2 swords. He also has a repeater crossbow nearby. Seamus, you saw him drop it kind of in the sand. You can easily recover that if you want to. And you also find an additional 4 crossbow bolts of the special crossbow bolts.
Nice. Can I carry 3 crossbows?
No. You cannot. That would be insane. For the sake of storing, this will be your choice. This is how we're going to do this. Essentially, I'm going to allow you, if you want to store, therefore take apart and store your main crossbow if you want to wield the repeater crossbow. Or you can attempt to do the same to the repeater crossbow and then wield your main crossbow. So it's going to kind of have to be a choice, a conscious choice to use one or the other. But they will be essentially broken down into some more baser components for storage, so that you're just not have like 2 crossbows, 1 on each shoulder. That's it. I mean, come on, they're gonna bump into each other. It's not going to be good. So, unless you just really want to do that, in which case you're going to be at disadvantage to certain tasks.
No, I'll break down the original crossbow when we go to camp.
Okay, so you can carry it for a short distance wherever you guys are going to camp or whatnot. You've got 1. I mean, I'm assuming you have 1 each. You have an extra crossbow. Marius, do you want to keep it?
Marius?
Yeah, I'll keep it just in case.
You'll sling it. I'll let you guys split up bolts however you want to. Marius, you have no idea how this thing works. Seamus, you honestly don't know exactly how it works either yet. But I'll let you guys split bolts however you want to. Marius, the one you have, Seamus, you would know just from the feel between the one you have and the one that Marius has, that his feels a little bit heavier. So it may have bolts in it. You're not exactly sure how the hell this thing works, but it feels a little bit heavier, so it may be loaded.
All right. I can't wait to play around with that at camp.
Do we find another cloak on this bastard?
Yes, there is another cloak. So you each have a cloak.
Yeah. Give it to Seamus.
There you go, Seamus. You have your cloak.
Seamus is going to point to the swords and kind of look at Marius and gesture if Marius wants them.
Marius probably doesn't want them. Unless he feels like they're special or something.
They do look. I mean, they look like normal swords to you, though obviously with some very elaborate designs and aesthetic choices. So there's definitely like some curved barbing into the blade. They honestly they look kind of like scimitars more than a regular sword. So it's very strange to look at, but they're essentially just a regular sword.
I will be cutting off this elf's ears as well.
Okay, that's sick. But yes, you cut off another elf's ears, put it in your ear bag, which is very disgusting, I might add you.
Ear bag.
It mixes around with the goblin ears that you still possess. So you put those in, and when you open the bag, the smell of goblin ear is mortifying, especially it's been in your bag a full day at this point. And it's starting to ripen. It smells horrible. And you quickly kind of shove the elf ears down there and close the bag. I'm assuming this is like just another bag. You don't just keep this in your pack, right? This is just
this is like another little bag.
Like a bag in a bag kind of thing. A bag in your pack kind of thing. Yeah. So you both wearing your finely and the cloak feels very sturdy, Seamus. You're not exactly sure what it's made out of. It's definitely made out of some kind of hide, some thick animal hide. It's scaled, so that gives you the idea it's some kind of reptilian creature. You're not sure what. It has that very deep blue tint to the outside. And on the inside, it's actually lined with, it looks like a kind of reddish, like felt almost. Very, very, for what the elves look like, it's a very delicate, fine material. So it actually feels very nice on your skin. And yours, Seamus, fits you very well. It fits your frame. It's a little tight on Marius, but on you, Seamus, it looks right. It looks like it's at home. So what would you guys like to do at this point?
So are we we're at the area that we entered the beach, right? Or came across the beach, right?
Yes, you're pretty much right there where you had come upon the beach. Within a few paces, so you're close enough.
I guess we should probably try to look for shelter somewhere. So I'm gonna try to just head back into the woods and just try to look for shelter, like a cave or like an outcropping. Or
let's see what we can do. Since we're going to attempt to bed, we'll attempt to bed down for the night. So I need one or both of you to make outdoor survival checks.
Okay. I can make it if Seamus would like.
He probably should.
Yes,
okay.
Indeed.
Can I get assistance from Seamus?
Do you have the outdoor survival skill, Seamus?
I have not purchased that skill yet.
Okay, then. He cannot help you in this endeavor.
All right. I'm rolling. Ooh. That's 35 out of 41.
Okay, so at least a success. That's good.
Yeah.
So you, despite your blunder earlier, you find your way back. You remembered the clearing where that bastard had ducked away from you. You don't find your knife on the way there. If you look for it, it appears to be lost somewhere. You're not exactly sure where it planked off to. But you find kind of the trail that you took. You find that path. Do you want to move down the path towards the smoke, or do you want to go across into the trees across the way?
And the trees is where we camped before.
It's in the direction of where you camped before. Obviously, you're much farther away, but it's in that direction.
Seamus, which way do you think we should go? Back the way we came, or towards that smoke over there?
Seamus is gonna kind of point towards the way that we came from.
All right, then I'll head that way.
Okay. So you guys, you get not very far into the woods, and you find a suitable space. No cave or outcropping, but you find a decent space, similar to the one that you found earlier, where you think you could set up a decent camp and have enough room to start a small fire if you'd like.
Okay. And that's what we'll do.
Okay. So you find your space. You start. I'm assuming do you build a small or large fire?
Small again, probably.
Okay, another smaller fire. With your success level, you can gauge how much it's going to take. You get your fire built. You get the kind of tent set up with the tarp, and your bedrolls unrolled, and you get ready to bed down for the night. Seamus, you are hurting badly. Yeah, go ahead, Marius.
Before I do, kind of sitting around the fire, I'm going to try to take out these arrows.
Good. I was hoping you'd forget. Okay. So
no.
So you sit down and Seamus, you're watching this happen. You guys are both kind of brought over like a downed log to kind of sit on around the fire. And you watch as Marius starts examining the bolt sticking out of his chest and the one in his right shoulder. Marius, if you would attempt to take the two out that you can see, you can either make me a strength check to rip them from your body. You can have Seamus attempt that, or either of you can attempt a -10 intelligence test, though for Seamus it'll be at -30 right now, to attempt to remove the bolts that you can see.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to have Seamus do anything.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. So,
but you said a strength test or -10 intelligence?
yes. And if you fail, I will say this, if you fail the intelligence test, you can attempt the strength test.
Okay, then that's what I'll try first. I'll try the intelligence.
Okay. So go ahead, it'll be -10 for you.
Okay. Well, that's a failure for that one. That's 55 out.
Okay, so you go, you're kind of looking at it, and that's 55?
It's a critical fail, yeah.
Critical. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay, so you're looking at it, and you are just you have no idea how the hell you're going to get these out of your body. It was easier when you were pulling them out of Seamus, but on yourself it just seems more difficult. The armor's kind of getting in the way, and you can't take the armor off because of the bolt, and it's a big ordeal. As you're playing with the bolts because of your critical failure, you take a wound. So you can subtract a wound from where you brush up against one of them, and it kind of digs in a little bit deeper.
Oh, gee. All right.
That probably hurt quite a bit. You're going, Now you can attempt your strength checks. Or just one check for the ones you can see.
Okay. That is going to be a 14 out of 55.
Okay, how many levels of success is that? 14, 24, 34, 44, 54. So 4 levels of success. Does that sound right to you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
What's
I
your
think
strength
that's right,
bonus again?
55.
Oh, your strength bonus is 5. So let's see here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 5.
So 9. Oh, yes. Okay. So Seamus, you look over and you see Marius, and you see him start to pump himself up, and he grabs both of the bolts. He grabs with his right hand. He grabs the one in his chest. With his left hand, he grabs the one in his shoulder, and he just and he rips them out of his body. And there's just a gush of blood as you take. Looks like 9 points of damage.
9 points? Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
Can I deduct my toughness bonus, maybe?
You can deduct your toughness bonus.
Thank God. Alright.
As you
I'm
rip
still
them
up.
out of your body. You're still up? You didn't slip into unconsciousness? Good. Okay.
Nope. But,
And you see the color just drain out of him, Seamus, as he's just like, oh. And it pains you, Marius, to know that there's still one more bolt in your back.
I know. Marius might leave that one for later.
Are you gonna take a little? I will allow
face nap?
you. Wait, excuse me.
Let's sleep on my face.
So are you going? So let
Face
me.
down.
What I'll allow you to do is take a kind of like a short rest, like an hour before you guys go to sleep. So you'll gain your toughness bonus back in wounds, just whatever your toughness bonus is. And then you Seamus, you look over and you see him kind of pump himself up again. He's like, and I need you to make a dexterity check to see if you can even reach the bolt in your back.
Okay. So I took my toughness plus in health. It's like an hour later.
Yeah. This is like an hour's passed, so you've kind of recovered a little bit. And Seamus, you can do the same. You've recovered your toughness bonus and wounds at this point.
All right. Let's see here. Dexterity. That is going to be a 26 out of 37.
Okay, so you do manage to get your hand, your left hand onto the bolt. It's an awkward angle, but you got a hold of it. Do you want to use your old strength roll, or do you want to roll another one?
I will roll another one. Just
okay. Go ahead and roll another strength roll for me.
Oh, that is going to be. It's a little better. It's a 17 out of 55.
So that's, instead of it being 4, that's 3 successes.
4, it's 3.
Yeah. So you wrench the bolt out of your body for 8 wounds, 8 damage. So you can subtract your toughness bonus, and that's how many you take.
Oh.
As you rip it from your body, rip it out, and you see a little bit of blood spurt out of it, Seamus, onto the down his back.
Question.
You're now. Yeah, go ahead.
Are the bolts still usable?
Jesus. You know what? Go ahead and make me an intelligence test at minus 10.
Oh, all right. Oh no, that's a big old 100.
Okay, yeah. So you're looking at him. I mean, 26. You don't know shit about crossbows. Regardless, it's just strange. But you look at them. They're definitely useless. Two of them look kind of bent from where you wrenched them out of your body, just because you're strong as hell. One of them, it looks like the head kind of cracked, probably on your ridiculously strong bone. inside somewhere on your body. You're not sure which one it is, but it chipped on something. There might be a piece of, I don't know, there might be a piece of bolt stuck in your body now. You have no idea. But it's a little concerning, but it doesn't look usable at that point. You're kind of, okay.
I throw them in the fire.
Okay, you just kind of toss them into the fire, cleansing them. They kind of crackle as the blood begins to burn off of them.
Oh, Seamus, I think we need to go to bed.
What time is it?
So at this point, with your short rest included, it is definitely dark at this point. The sun has gone down, and it is night. Though, I mean, you both, neither of you have a good idea of exactly the time, but the time of day, night has come.
I'm gonna eat my rabbit meat too. The rest of my rabbit meat.
Okay, you eat your rabbit meat, so you have a full belly going to sleep. Seamus, do you offer any to him, Marius?
Is there enough to share?
Sure, if you want to share some with him.
Yeah, I'll share it with him.
So Seamus, he passes you some meat, and you go to open your mouth, and it fucking hurts. And you can't even, you attempt to put it in your mouth and chew, and you can't. It just hurts too much. So you just kind of like sit there with it just soaking in your mouth until eventually it kind of dissolves enough from your saliva for you to kind of swallow it whole. And you get some nourishment, though not a lot. And you get the idea that with your jaw in its state, you are going to need to eat liquid food from here on out of some kind.
Oh boy! Well, Seamus is going to go over to his bedroll and go to sleep.
Okay, so you just unceremoniously just drop face down into the bedroll that you've managed to unroll, and you just kind of and you're unconscious pretty much. So Marius, you are apparently taking first watch, or you might be taking the only watch. We'll find out. Go ahead and roll me that perception check.
All right. That is, it's not going to be very good. It's a 42 out of 30. It's a degree of failure.
Yes. Okay. So, Marius, a few hours pass. You're kind of, you're taking watch. Seamus is unconscious. He's had a long day. He's had a long, hard day. And Marius, you hear the rustling of something behind you. You're not sure how far away it is, but you hear it.
I get my candle down and light it on the fire.
Okay.
And try to kind of look over in that direction quietly, see if I can see anything.
Okay, you don't see anything. You know you heard the noise, and then you hear a growling.
I'm just silent, gripping my pick tightly.
Okay. 10 minutes pass. Nothing. 30 minutes pass. Nothing. Are you still just sitting there at full attention?
Yes, I'm full attention. I might throw the log on the fire, stoke the fire a little bit.
Okay, you stoke the fire up, and you hear some movement again. This time off to your right, and you kind of lurch over in that direction. You don't see anything.
Okay.
Are you just going to stand there, or are you going to kind of...
I'm not going to... I'm staying by this fire. I'm not going
Okay. You're not going in the woods. Okay. Okay, so the next 4 hours pass, and you are in a state of heightened awareness. You don't see anything, even in the low light, but you know there's something out there waiting to pounce and rend your flesh. It's just this vision of some giant cat stalking into your camp and ripping you to pieces keeps flashing before your eyes. and you're go ahead.
Would I even know what a giant cat was? Or is?
You remember seeing from the previous day? You did find the tracks, a very large cat tracks. So you can use your imagination as to what a giant cat might look like, or at least what Marius might think a giant cat looks like. But there's some kind of giant creature out there that's going to rip him to pieces. But you are in a heightened state, and after this much time and at this heightened state, you begin to start fading yourself. If you want to attempt to keep awake and not start to doze from the long day that you've had, I'll need you to make me an endurance test.
Okay. I will make an endurance test then. That is going to be a 45 out of 60.
Okay, so you easily kind of stave off whatever kind of jitters that you're starting to have, and the rest of your watch goes plainly. About another hour or two passes, and it's about time for shift change.
All right, I kind of jostle Seamus.
Seamus, make me an endurance. Well, no. Make me a perception check at -20.
Still, I thought he got his full rest.
Oh no.
That is a 19 out of 31.
Okay, so Seamus, you kind of you hear Marius nudging you. Here, Marius, Seamus.
Oh. What are you? Oh.
I should watch Seamus. And that big fucker that was stalking us the night before is still out here.
Seamus kind of like leans up out of bed, just kind of sitting there, collected his thoughts.
All right. You sit up.
Seamus, do you want my hat? Point towards my candle hat. My kind of looking at him expectingly.
Seamus will give Marius the finger.
Yes.
Marius just kind of nods his head up and down. All right, and then, I douse out my candles and I get ready for bed.
Okay, so you lay down in your bedroll. Seamus, you're up for your watch. You have a choice to make, Seamus. You can either look at this crossbow in your spare time, or you can take a full shift of just a regular watch. It's up to you.
I'm going to look at this crossbow.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. See, that's a man that knows what he wants. Go ahead and make me a perception test at -10, and then add your crossbow efficiency.
All right. So that'll be a 38 out of 51.
Okay, all right. So now that you've had more time to kind of look at this new crossbow, you start looking at the mechanisms, and you've seen your fair share of kind of bizarre things just traveling through to get to Sealburg in the past, and you recall an engineer at one point from the college in Nome that has been recently started. This would be in the 6-month gap that you spent as the toll keeper at Sealburg recently. A engineer was brought by to do something for the governor. You're not exactly sure what. All you remember is this cart of crap that he brought with him and his very rude guards. But you remember kind of looking at some of the devices in there, and you got to look at some of the inner workings of potential schematics, essentially, for outlandish ideas for weaponry. You particularly saw a idea for some kind of repeating handgun. It was bizarre looking. You know that black powder weapons exist, but one that can shoot more than once is unheard of. You get the idea that this crossbow is something of that type, judging from the mechanism. And that little hole on the side looks like you can feed in bolts onto the side.
All right.
Would you like to attempt to reload it?
I am. I'm going to grab a bolt and slide it in.
Okay. So you slide it in, and you hear a clink, and it lands something kind of, and the bolt just kind of, as you get the bolt halfway through, it's like some kind of mechanism catches it, and it pulls it into the crossbow itself. Do you want to put another in? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So you do this 3 more times. There are 4 bolts inside this repeater now at this point.
I'm going to. Is there like a tree at a relative distance?
Oh, there's plenty. I mean, you're in the forest. There's plenty of trees around you. Now, I will say, it is still dark outside currently. It is starting to the sun is starting to kind of crest, and you're getting maybe some low light here within an hour or so, but it is still dark if you were to get away from the fire.
I would say if there's a tree that I can hit just from like sitting at the fire.
Okay, yeah, easily. There's one probably about 10, 15 feet away that you kind of see just through the embers of the flame.
All right, I want to take a shot at that tree while sitting by the fire.
Okay. It's a stationary target, and you're proficient with crossbows, so no test needed. You hear the whoosh, and essentially what you do is you pull back on the lever to load it like you would a normal crossbow, and when you pull it all the way back, a bolt springs from underneath to where the mechanism is. That where you would normally put one when you're loading it in a normal bow. It springs into place right as you pull the trigger. So you pull it back and it's loaded, and then as soon as you pull the trigger, because it just looks strange without the bolt in it, the bolt props into place and fires. Sailing towards the tree, hits its mark easily, and as the bow feature, the recurve part of it, expends its energy, it comes back and reloads a second bolt into the top without you having to physically reload it yourself.
Ooh, that makes Seamus real happy. He's gonna fire off another one.
Yes, so you shoot another one into the same tree. This one's it's a little bit off from the first one, but you still are within a close enough grouping. And the same thing happens as it recurves back. A third bolt is loaded.
Seamus is gonna wait for Marius to wake up.
Okay. So with your kind of tinkering with this, I will allow you to know that essentially what this is you have 4 shots when it's fully loaded. It will take a reload test of 5 success levels to fully reload it, and you cannot fire it unless it is completely reloaded once you expend all the bolts out of it.
Okay.
So that would be an extended test, essentially, for you to reload all the bolts into it if you couldn't get 5 success levels right off the bat.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
So just make a note of that. And at this point, your watch is coming to an end, and nothing else happened. You made a good choice trying to look at the crossbow. You also recover your 1 point of exhaustion, which is why you only had a -10. I need you to make me an endurance test at -10.
That is a 29 out of 42.
29, 39. Okay,
one
so
level.
you recover one plus your toughness bonus and wounds.
Oh yeah.
So that's 6, I believe, for you. Marius,
Yes.
you're aroused at the. I'm assuming the smell of. Probably Seamus.
Whoa, Marius.
Seamus probably attempting to mash some kind of his rations into some kind of paste so that he can eat it.
God.
But I need you to make me an endurance test as well, Marius.
Okay. That's not very good. That's a 44 out of 60.
44. That's a critical success, dude.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was counted on.
They do actually. They count.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm
roll.
Yeah, for this, because it's a kind of a skill check for recovering wounds, I'll let it because you got a critical, I'll let it double your bonus that you get. So 44, so 54. So instead of recovering 1, you recover 2 plus your toughness bonus in wounds.
Okay, so 2 plus my toughness bonus.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right. You are both up. The morning awaits you. What would you guys like to do?
If I have any rabbit left, I would like to eat the rest of my rabbit.
You ate the rest of it last night. It's what you said.
Oh.
Those were your exact words.
I'll have my Bugman's Ale then.
Oh, Jesus. To start the day off?
Well, no, I'm not going to. I think I'm gonna go a little hunting, a little searching for food.
Okay.
Berries or something. I don't know.
Berries or something? Okay. Give me a outdoor survival test.
All right. Yeah. So 22 out of 41.
Another extreme success. Jesus. How do you keep doing these extremes on this freaking outdoor survival?
Hey, it's either 55 or 22,
Okay. All right. So with your extreme success, I'm assuming you just nod to Jameis, telling him you're going to go out and look for something as he's like begrudgingly pasting his food to eat his rations for the morning. You don't stray far from camp, and you find a strange looking tree. Well, a bush precisely. And there are little black berries hanging from it.
I will pick said blackberries.
Okay, you pick them. You kind of smell them with your extreme success. Basically, you smell them and they smell delicious. You don't know much about poison or food, but you think these are edible. They've got to be. You spent some time in the woods.
All right.
Though this is a strange place, so you think these are good enough. You pick a bushel, quite a few actually. And also, while you're picking, it's the damnedest thing. You look over to your right, and there's another fat rabbit looking you in the eyes.
Fat rabbit?
About a foot, or probably about 3 feet from you, just staring at you.
3 feet from me? I would
Yep.
like to take my pick.
Yes.
And try to murder.
So
rabbit.
you unsling your pick, and you make a lunge. Make me a attack, and because this is such a small creature, and it sees you, it will be at minus 20 to hit it.
Minus 20? All right, let's see. That is going to be... Oh, it's not good enough. That's going to be a 27 out of 40... Or no, that'd be 27. Or 25. At minus 20.
27 out of
27.
20.
Yes.
Okay, so you missed.
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
Does he dodge it?
Yes. Yes, the rabbit.
He dodged it.
The rabbit nimbly, you go to swing, you go, ah! You let out a little cry, and it perks up and dodges out of the way. The pick crashes into the ground. Seamus, you hear the reciting clang of Marius's pick digging into the stone again. That bastard probably got himself another rabbit. From the day before. You remember this? It was the same kind of noise. You just kind of shake your head, and Marius, the rabbit, just kind of bounces away at a very quick pace in the opposite direction.
Would you allow me, with my success rate, to set up like a snare trap with my rope?
Now, there is actually a skill for setting traps that you do not have.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can attempt one, but you're going to be at disadvantage to do it. I'm letting you guys attempt skills that you don't have, just at disadvantage.
Yeah. What would that skill be?
Let me check real quick. It is. Let's see here. Trap. I've got it here somewhere. It is not outdoor survival. Oh, damn it. You gotta make me look stuff up.
Is it an advanced skill?
It is. Hold on. All right. Pluck, play, pray. Yeah, it's just called Set Trap. And it is dexterity based. And yes, it is an advanced skill.
Okay. So it'd be a minus 20.
Yeah, because of... I'm letting you guys attempt heal tests just because you've kind of been around it. And you know your way out around the woods, but you are not a woodsman. So it would be at about minus 20 for you.
All right. I'll just take my berries and go, you know?
Okay, you got some berries. I mean, they look somewhat delicious. So you get back to camp and with your bushel of berries.
How many days rations of berries do I have?
With your critical success, you have at least 2 days worth of berries that you managed to pick that looked decent.
A lot of berries.
I mean, it's a lot.
Pop said berries in my mouth.
Okay, good. You eat at least a day's worth of berries, and they're delicious. They're surprisingly good. They have a bit of a tang to them that you haven't experienced with the berries out in where you're normally from Sealburg in the Empire. But other than that, they're pretty good. Very sweet.
All right. I look to Seamus and be like, "Gosh, Seamus, do you think we should try to move on, find a different camp, or try to camp out here again, maybe rest up a little bit more?"
Seamus gonna try and speak. Move on.
Move on.
Get
deeper
out of this place.
Towards the smoke.
Seamus will nod yes.
All right. I guess we'll start to make our way. I don't know how far we'll make it, but I guess making our way towards the smoke a little bit.
Okay. As you guys break camp and begin to set out, that is where we will end. We'll take our first break.
Okay.
Unless you got something to say. Cool. You got something?
I was just going to say, I was going to point out the 2 bolts that I see in the tree.
Yes, of course.
Make sure you grab some.
Make sure you grab your bolts. So yes, you can collect your bolts, Seamus. And then, we will pick this up here in a few minutes.